A dense fog descended upon the narrow streets of Blackthorn, pressing against the windows of weathered Victorian homes. For the town's residents, this was nothing unusual. Fog was as much a part of their lives as the waves crashing violently against the cliffs. Tonight, mist carried an oppressive weight, smothering even the sound of the ocean. Off the last train from London, her heels clicking against the damp platform. Adjusting her scarf against the biting wind, she surveyed the town that had once been her home. After 20 years, she was back, though not by choice. Her father's death had left her Ravensmere Manor, along with its haunting debts and buried secrets. As Margaret hailed a cab, a man approached her. He was tall, with sharp features partially hidden under a low-drawn hat. "Miss Hale," he said, his voice low and raspy. "You shouldn't have come back," she frowned. "Do I know you?" He tipped his hat slightly, revealing pale, unnaturally luminous eyes. "Just a friendly warning," he murmured before disappearing into the fog. Shaken, Margaret climbed into the cab without looking back. Ravensmere Manor perched on the cliffs like a sentinel, its darkened windows gazing out at the sea. Margaret had forgotten how imposing it was, with its ivy-covered walls and iron gates that groaned as she pushed them open. The housekeeper, Mrs. Groves, greeted her with a wary smile. "Welcome home, Miss Hale. The house has missed you." Margaret couldn't tell if the note of foreboding in her voice was real or imagined. Inside, the manor was a maze of dark wood and faded tapestries, each room colder than the last. But it was the west wing that drew her attention. Sealed off for as long as she could remember, it was the source of family rumors, strange noises, fleeting shadows, and the occasional scream no one could explain. 3 nights after her return, Margaret awoke to a faint sound. At first, she thought it was the wind, but as she strained to listen, she realized it was whispering. Lighting a candle, she followed the sound, her bare feet padding softly on the cold floorboards. The whispers led her to the west wing. When she touched the locked door, it creaked open. The air inside was icy, and the room beyond was shrouded in shadows. On the far wall hung a massive painting of a woman with piercing eyes that seemed to follow Margaret as she stepped inside. Beneath the painting was a plaque, Isabel Hale, 1876. A sudden crash behind her made Margaret spin around, but the hallway was empty. She backed out of the room and slammed the door, her heart racing. The next morning, Margaret visited the town library, desperate for answers. She met Charles Greaves, a local historian with a keen interest in Ravensmere. Together, they combed through old records and unearthed a chilling tale. Isabel Hale, one of Margaret's ancestors, had been accused of witchcraft in 1876. Though acquitted, she was ostracized by the town and spent her final years locked away in the West Wing. "Some say she cursed the manor before her death," Charles said. "Strange things have happened there ever since." Charles's stories of other Hale descendants meeting tragic ends, all linked to the West Wing, only deepened Margaret's unease. Desperate for the truth, Margaret agreed to a séance with Evelyn Blackwood, a spiritualist. Evelyn arrived at the manor with an air of calm authority, her dark eyes reflecting an otherworldly knowledge. The séance was held in the dining room, where heavy oak tables were set with candles. Evelyn instructed Margaret and Charles to hold hands with her as she began chanting in a language neither recognized. The air grew heavy, and the temperature plummeted. Then the candles flickered violently, and a guttural voice filled the room. "Leave this place," it growled. The chandelier rattled, and one of the candles extinguished itself. Evelyn's eyes rolled back, and she collapsed, leaving Margaret and Charles alone in suffocating silence. When Evelyn regained consciousness, her face was pale and her voice trembled. "That entity, it's pure evil. You mustn't stay here," she warned. But for Margaret, this was not enough. She and Charles decided to delve deeper into the mystery. Back at the library, they uncovered more records. The West Wing had been the site of a series of dark rituals, allegedly led by Isabel Hale herself. They also discovered hints of a hidden tunnel system beneath the manor. The entrance to the tunnels was concealed behind an old cabinet in the West Wing. Armed with lanterns, Margaret and Charles descended into the darkness, the air thick with damp and decay. The tunnels had likely been used by those performing the rituals. Strange symbols were etched into the walls, and here and there, they found what appeared to be bloodstains. Margaret shuddered, while Charles muttered, "This is getting worse by the minute." At the end of the tunnel, they discovered a stone. Margaret and Charles may have uncovered some of Ravensmere Manor's dark secrets, but this story is far from over. The shadows run deep, and the terror never truly ends. If you're curious for more spine-chilling tales, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. At Unique Reddit Horror Stories, we dive into the darkest depths of fear. See you in the next video. And remember, the darkness is always closer than you think.